Welcome to another episode of Growth Marketers Podcast. I'm Solomon Timothy.
And I am Taylor Rowe. Today's episode is titled
Half-Ass.
Half-Ass. It's called Half-Ass. It's called Something is Not Better Than Nothing. That's kind of a cliche that we hear all the time. Something is better than nothing. So we talked about in marketing how that can be a mistake, that mindset, and some of the examples that we've seen over our years in digital marketing. So as always, give us a like, subscribe, leave us a comment, give us some feedback, ask us a question. We'd love to hear from you guys if you enjoyed the podcast, if you didn't. But I think this was a good one. So hopefully you guys enjoy.
So Taylor, today we're talking about, I think both of our favorite topics, which is how a lot of companies operate in their marketing.
Yeah.
They try to do, kind of like a salad bar, a little bit of this, a little bit of this, a little bit of this, and then to try to combine everything. And then when you combine everything, it's really not effective. Not one thing is really where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's very mediocre at best results, but they believe this concept, which is something is better than nothing. Can we expound on that a little bit and why that may or may not be a good idea for brands?
Yeah, I think in a lot of aspects of your life, that concept makes sense, which is why I love
exercising, maybe.
I love the idea of like this as a podcast topic because of that. It's because most times something is better than nothing. And for whatever reason, it's just become like a cliche. Like maybe it's when you don't reach your goal, then you just go back to like, well, I tried. Something is better than nothing.
At least I walked on the treadmill.
Yeah. And maybe that's true. But I think in marketing, it's especially not true. And we see that a lot with marketing. And I think really the reason is that marketing is not a linear path to success. And we've mentioned that before. It's like not a linear progression of, especially, you could look at any channel, right? I mean, if you're talking about, let's say SEO, we work on a lot of SEO for our clients. It's a zero sum game. Like you either rank number one or you don't. So you can just say, we'll do a little bit of SEO. And if we do 1/10 of the SEO that our competitors are doing, we'll get 1/10 of the traffic. No, all of the traffic goes to the top 3 people. So if you're on page 2, because you're doing a little bit,
right?
There's no
point at all.
Horseshoes, right? It's like they say, it's like close enough, right? It doesn't work that way. You have to succeed. And so it's very clear in some of those channels like SEO, but it's not maybe as clear in other channels. And that's really what I want to talk about today is something is not always better than nothing. So we can go through each channel and kind of talk about, examples, but in general, just because you're doing something or you're active in marketing doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be successful at, a percentage of, right? Like, hey, we're only doing 20% of what we know we wanted to do, or that we can only afford to execute 20% of the plan. You're not going to get 20% of the results. You're going to get 0% of the results in most cases.
Right. And I think I'll just give you an example. Let's just consider social media, for instance. Whatever content that you're creating may not be enough to even touch the surface of the demand of whatever that topic is, right? Let's just say Twitter. You're just tweeting once or twice a month just to kind of keep your account active. You're not going to get anything out of Twitter. Yeah, because there's millions of conversation happening. And what's this tweet going to do in the ocean of tweets an hour?
Social media is a great example because with all transparency, we turn down a lot of people's social media for that exact reason, is that I don't believe what you want us to do, what you're trying to pay me to do is going to be effective. So I'll tell you no. So we'll get companies that say, well, we know we need to be active on social media because, customers on social media. We see our competition creating tons of graphics and videos and, testimonials and behind the scenes of their office and all these kind of things. But we just don't have the time and the resources to dedicate to social media. So again, something is better than nothing.
Right.
We can't afford to go full-fledged into social. So we're going to pick, one channel, or we're going to do probably the worst case scenarios where it's like, we're going to outsource this for $500 a month or $1,000 a month to a freelancer. And they're going to post, the same piece of content. They're going to curate some content and they're going to post it on LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, a couple times a week. And that's it, right? Because something is better than nothing. But this is exactly what we're talking about. If you're not...
it sounds funny, but that's what everybody does.
Everybody does it.
It's kind of like the thing.
Every single business that is not winning on social media is
That's
doing
what they
exactly what we're doing. And they're saying that, well, we know we have to be active, so something is better than nothing.
Wow.
And what happens is you're just wasting the time and energy and money because, like you said, that you're not working and understanding the algorithms enough and to reach your audience. So you're just shouting into a cave and no one hears you.
That's true. You're speaking at people, right? And hoping that somebody's going to listen. And I think one other thing too is just touching on that is every platform is so different. So the whole idea of taking the same thing and posting it 5 different places without resizing it, without changing the way they communicate, let's say LinkedIn is more professional, but Facebook is more casual, and then Instagram is more visual. Everything is different. So you can't take the same thing and just kind of slap it and say,
as soon as you hear that, then again, if it comes back to we can't afford it or the budget's not there, or we don't have the time. Yeah, that would be nice to do all those things and create unique content for each platform and measure it based on engagement and what's happening and get feedback and respond to comments and create unique content and then develop a strategy to get user generated content because we know that performs better. And then we want people to share the content, but we don't have the time. So we're just going to tweet twice a month. Again, stop. I would rather you not do any of that. Because again, that $500 a month or $1,000 a month that you're paying to a freelancer or whatever, or that
maybe it's a company, whatever it is, a software.
Software. Maybe it's just a couple hours a week, an hour a week of your time that again, you're just, half-assing your effort.
Right.
When you could be doing something else. You could, whether it's time or money, you could be investing that into something else where you can go all in. So that's, again, why in full transparency, if a company comes to us and says we want to do this or outsource social media, a lot of times, if it's this same scenario, I'll say no, because I would rather have you take that $1,000 a month and save it for 12 months. And then we take the $12,000 and put $12,000 into 1 month worth of Facebook ads or LinkedIn ads, something that we can go all in on for 1 month is going to be more effective than you just tweeting randomly for 12 months.
Right. And many people aren't willing to do that because they don't want to, wait 12 months, or really they're just worried that it's the FOMO, right? It's fear of missing out. What if I did get some customer, or what if it did? But what we're saying is that it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You may get nothing, and you might be in that place today wondering why your SEO isn't working because you only spend $200 or $300 or whatever many $100.
Right.
And they're not creating a content, or the website's not even mobile optimized. But hey, something is better than nothing, but it's not doing anything.
Yeah, I mean, we really see this in two scenarios. One is it's almost like the analysis paralysis of there's so many channels that I think I have to, and I see my competitors doing this on how they're on TikTok and they're on Snapchat and this and that. It's like
Clubhouse.
It's like, so we have all of this and now I have to do all of this. And then you either don't do any of it or you spend half an hour of your day on
every channel.
channels. And all of a sudden 8 hours goes by and then you never get anything done. That's the problem. That's one problem that I see. The other problem is we're scared to go all in. Like I said, that $12,000 or $100,000 in 1 month and spend. So let's just dip our toes in the water. And that's where the assumption that it's a linear path. It doesn't work that way, where let's just spend, hey, I know you suggested $10,000 for Google ads. We're going to do 1,000. And then once we get 1/10 of what we were supposed to get,
once we get some results,
prove it. Once you prove that the 1/10 that it would equal 10 times that, then we'll scale it up. But it doesn't work that way. You don't have enough volume. The law of averages, the algorithms don't work that way. And we talked about an example, off camera of like, if you had, just $1,000, let's say $3,000 a month, right? Of Google ads, that's 30 days in a month. That's, $100 a day. If your cost per click was $10, it's only 10 clicks. It's 10 to 15, $10, $12, $15 a click, which a lot of companies are. And now all of a sudden you're getting 7 to 10 clicks a day. If you have a 2% conversion rate, even if you had 10% conversion rate, which, would be relatively high, 10% conversion rate, you still might not get any leads, right? And so then you think about it, it's like, well, yeah, but the law of averages means that, I don't get a lead today, then I'm gonna get 2 leads tomorrow because it's 10%. But you're missing all that opportunity because your ad budget runs out like, 10 a.m. when the rest of the day you're not getting any of those leads. you're missing so much of the people that could have even just seen your ad that didn't click on it. I mean, there's so many other factors that you can't expect the exact same conversion rates, cost per lead, cost per acquisition on $1,000. It's not going to be exact, 10 times that if you spend 10,000. It's a completely different plan. It's a completely different strategy because maybe you're not allocating as much budget to a competitor campaign or certain brand search or unbranded search because you're focusing on cost per lead. So you're just spending the money on branded search. So then a quarter of your budget is already eaten just from your own brand name. It's like there's so many factors that come into play. And again, now you replicate that across all these channels. Like, well, same thing with organic search. We can't afford to implement all these changes to the website or these technical updates or build out this resource, page or this blog like we want to. Can't build these pillar pages because we don't have.
Can't do outreach.
We can't build. Right. So okay, yeah. So just look at. Well, let's just say okay. So you can't do all that. So we're just gonna, we're gonna blog twice a month, right? We can't write 10,000 words, so we're gonna write 500 words. Because something's better than nothing. It's not.
Some blogs.
It's just falling on deaf ears, so to speak, because it's not better than nothing because it doesn't.
It's probably gonna hurt more than help, especially in SEO.
Yeah.
Right. You're just creating more useless content with less and less engagement. And I don't know, Bert, what is this supposed to do with that information? I'm just using that. It's funny. But isn't that, it's not going to do anything. It's got no engagement. It's got no authority. No one's linking into it. No, there's nothing to it. It's just another piece of content. It's unoptimized at best.
Yeah. So, we see that happen. Again, you could look at examples in every channel, social, we talked about organic. I mean, same thing, social, paid social, right? I mean, it's just not, you have to, as a marketer and as a company, you have to strive to be the best, right? Again, you have to, because if you're not, then there's no prize for second place, third place, whatever. I mean, think about just your general content creation. We always talk about creating content that is in the format that is going to be best for your customer, right? Whatever you're trying to explain, like what is the best way to explain it? And if you said, well, a video would be nice or a podcast would be nice because you could have this dialogue right now and I could say something and it might not make sense and you could ask me to clarify and then I could dive deeper into that. So this is a good format for us to explain some of these more complex ideas, but we can't afford all the equipment. And so we're going to just write a blog about it.
It's not the same. It's not going to drive the results.
And so you see that. I see that so many times with marketers that we're just trying to do things because we know that we have to do something. And that's the point really I'm just trying to get across is like in some cases, in a lot of cases, it's not better than nothing. And actually, like you said, it could be hurting you because now you're just spending money on things that aren't affecting, especially when it comes to something like SEO or anything organic. Like if you're not getting engagement with that content, then every algorithm, that's what algorithms are designed to do, is to feed people content that they want to see. So if you're constantly putting out content that is not getting engagement,
it's going to hurt more than help.
Yeah.
Would you say that it would be better, like you said, go all in on that one channel, generate some results before you even start the second channel, prove, like you said, maybe it's putting all your effort into one thing and creating more quality content consistently and having 30 days worth of content out, you know what I'm saying? And having all of your time spent on this thing. Once you nailed it and you've generated the revenue, then you would take that and say, okay, now we're ready to do social media or whatever that might be.
Yeah, 100%. And I appreciate you bringing this back because I don't want to have just a
rant, because it is a rant.
Negative. I don't want to be negative. And so here's what you can do if that's happening.
Yeah.
Exactly what you just outlined is what can we do and what can we do extremely well and go all in on that and stop trying to do things that we can only do half-ass or quarter of the way, whatever it is, don't, right? It's like, don't half-ass it.
This is the half-ass podcast. There you say, there we go.
Go all in on the channels that you can go all in on, that you can do really well. Again, if that's video, if that is SEO and that's your forte is writing really great content that ranks well and you can get backlinks from authoritative sites and you can all these sort of things and your customer is aligned with that, right? People are actively searching and you can drive traffic, because that's the other problem too, is like it's because you're good at videos or just because you're good at SEO, if there's no existing demand and no one's actually searching in your industry, then maybe SEO isn't the best thing for you. So
maybe it's LinkedIn. Maybe it's organic content on LinkedIn. If you're in the B2B space, and that's it. You're just creating LinkedIn content every single day.
Right.
Forget the website. Forget anything else. Forget Instagram.
Yeah. Find out two things. One is what are you really good at, and what can you do really well, and do that. But only if that is also the same thing as where are your customers and what's the best way to get in front of them. If those two things align, great, go all in on that. If they don't, then you need to figure out how to get better at the one way to reach your customer. Like you said, LinkedIn organic reach may be the best way to get to your audience. So you need to figure out how to do that. Even if you're really good at PPC ads, like that's your forte. Like we're really good at Google ads, but the best way to reach your audience is on LinkedIn. Don't double down on LinkedIn or on Google ads. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying figure out how to get better at LinkedIn and go all in on that channel rather than spending a little bit here and there. And we know we have to be on LinkedIn. So we're going to post, press releases and whatever job postings to our career page and those kind of things like once a month or once a quarter. That's not doing anything. Actually figure out how to crush that platform and go all in on that.
And I think, like you said, people will see that. It will take notice and it will probably drive more value to the organization into everything that you're doing rather than literally flatline, no growth on any and all channels just because of the 1-2s or, one other thing too, I would say is that many times instead of using an expert, they resort to doing it in-house and have someone who may not even be the right fit to do that. And then now this person is researching something on the internet to figure out what do I do on social media. And then they just do that. And that's equally bad as trying to do a terrible job with a vendor because of low budget. Do you get what I'm saying? They're both, oh, well, we're going to do it in-house. We're just decided that this is something that we can do. But who's doing it? And what are they doing? Right. And again, it's the same thing of like, well, it's something better than nothing. And Molly doesn't have much work to do. So let's just have her do it. Right. We're not expecting any results. I mean, why waste her time?
Right.
Let her do something else.
I mean, that's something that happens all the time. And I think it's a great point. It's the same exact scenario.
Mindset. It's a mindset.
It is. Yeah. I think, just figure out how to do something really, really well and focus on that. Again, this is only if budget is a constraint. If budget is not a constraint, you still see that because of the fear. People, like I said about the Facebook ads example or the Google ads example, if you do your due diligence, you do the research, you look at what your competition is spending, you look at the search volume, the demand, and you look at the math of how much it's going to cost for impressions and all those kind of things on social. And you do all of that in comparison to how much it costs you to, go to a trade show or to do cold outreach from the salespeople. And it takes, 3 SDRs to make 10,000 phone calls to get a certain number of demos and add up that salary, add up all the costs, add up the cost per demo. And you take that and you said, okay, well, it's, it costs us $100,000 a month right now to get to this lead volume. And if you can't go and spend that same budget on digital, that's the same thing that we're talking about, because the idea is, well, let's start with 5,000 and see what happens.
I know
it may not be enough, because do the same thing with your SDRs. Like, we'll only make 5 phone calls a day, right? Because if you made 500, then you get X number of results. So let's start with 5 or 10 or 50. It doesn't work that way, right? So you have to look at how the platform works, how the strategy is going to work, how the math and the numbers of what the reach and engagement means to the volume of leads that are actually going to come in. And you have to go all in. And so definitely do your due diligence. Don't just start spending money on all these channels. But once you do that, you have to be confident and stand behind your strategy. You can't expect that if we just do 1/10 of the effort, the output is going to be 1/10 of the result. A lot of times it's just going to be 0.
It's going to be, and I love it. I think we brought some light into a lot of people that are out there. Maybe they're trying to redo their marketing budget and they're trying to put as many things as they can into a tiny budget. Oh, my company's going to do social media, SEO, paid search, and email marketing and blogging for, I don't know, $1,000. You can't beat that. It's the best price ever across all the people that we spoke to. So let's go with them. That's not going to get you anywhere.
Yep.
And thank you. How do we want to wrap this one up? Any final thoughts?
Yeah, that's it. I think the idea again is eliminate that from your mindset or your vocabulary. And maybe it does translate into more things than just digital marketing, but especially when it comes to digital marketing, if you find yourself saying, well, we'll just do something, right? Something's better than nothing. want you to really, really think about that. And if that's going to be true in whatever you're trying to accomplish, because.
And what's that done for you in the past?
Right. Yeah. You see a lot of times it doesn't work that way, especially, it could be multiple channels, like you mentioned, even within a single channel. If you're not doing everything right, just one thing wrong makes all the difference in the world. Could be missing something completely. Could be, like you said, hiring the wrong person, or trying to do something internally that should be outsourced, or vice versa, trying to outsource something that should be done internally, not spending enough budget across, different channels. I mean, we've seen Google Ads accounts that, spend $10,000, but it's broken up into $500 increments in multiple languages and countries, and all these, different campaigns where it's like each campaign has $20, and it's like, take whatever campaign you want to go all in and take that 5,000 or the 10,000 and focus on that one, rather than getting a click a day from each country that's turning into nothing. Right. So a lot of times it seems obvious when you look at it that way, like, well, yeah, you're spreading yourself too thin, but we see it across a lot of companies of, we know what we should be doing, but we're just going to do a little bit. And I'm saying either eliminate that if you truly can't afford it, figure out what you can afford and go all in that, or save your money up that you were going to spend and then double down on something, or take that leap of faith once you do your due diligence and you are confident that this is going to be effective, or this is how we want to spend our money, and actually commit to it.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for checking out this episode. We got plenty more coming. Yeah. And so be sure to subscribe, turn on your notification, make sure, you're leaving us comments, leaving us questions, send this to a friend. We'd love to make sure that they don't make the same mistakes that a lot of companies do out there, right? We don't want to conform. That's what most people do. Just do more of the same thing and hope it's going to work. That is not going to work in marketing. All right. We'll see you next time.
Growth Marketers is brought to you by One IMS, helping you reach new heights through integrated marketing. One world, one web, one IMS.